Hello and welcome to the May 31st weekend update. Hard to believe May 31st, the end of May, is already here. But that is actually some good news on a couple of fronts. First, we're closing on the end of the school year, and that's welcomed by students and parents and teachers. Way to go, all of you that have been doing education online. You've done a great job. Less than a month and you'll be able to get a well-deserved break. Secondly, it's good news because we are in stage 1 of reopening, and that means that we will be able to gather for weekend services. Well, sort of. There are restrictions that we need to follow, so we'll provide some instructions to you to let you know what to expect. We're committed to meeting in a way that protects the safety of all, and we'll be following the guidelines provided by our provincial health authority. So, starting June 14th, we'll be holding 2 services at our facility on each Sunday. Each will be a maximum of 40 people. The first service will be 9:30 a.m. and the second at 11 a.m. We don't want people to be turned away, so we'll be asking people to sign up in advance by email or by phone. The service will include scripture and prayer and the pastor's message, maybe a few other features. We'll continue to make the Sunday message available online for any who cannot attend in person. The guidelines require that we limit the size of our gathering, that we ensure physical distancing, that we retain a list of people who have attended for 2 weeks to assist in tracing should infection occur. The guidelines do not allow for congregational singing, for children's ministries, or for any food or beverages. So church will look different than we're used to. And we'll continue to tweak how we do things based upon feedback and on changes in guidance as the province moves forward into stage 2 of reopening. So watch for more detailed information about our June 14th services in the next 2 updates. I want to talk a little bit about this pandemic and how it affects our hearts. Change is never easy. As a province and as a country, we've adapted fairly well to the changes due to pandemic restrictions. As time has worn on, and as restrictions are being lifted gradually, I see a couple of things happening. One is that people are becoming weary. And with that weariness, negative emotions can bubble up to the surface and people can become impatient with one another. Secondly, there's a wide range of opinion about how things should have been handled, about how things should unfold going forward. Different institutions have different requirements as they interpret guidance differently, and people choose to apply guidance differently. And that can easily lead to frustration and friction between people. As a church, and as a family of Alliance churches in Canada, we will follow the guidelines put in place by our government leaders and by our health authorities. It's our desire to keep people safe, and so we'll follow the advice of the health experts on how best to do that. We are people of faith, and that means that we treat others with grace and respect, regardless of whether or not our opinions agree. We're called to demonstrate compassion and humility towards one another. It is easy to become too attached, too deeply attached to our own opinions. Proverbs 13:10 says this, "Where there is strife, there is pride, but wisdom is found in those who take advice." Regardless of what our opinion about the pandemic is, we all have been infected by pride. And the only remedy to that is to live by the Spirit, reflecting the compassion and humility of Jesus. So, guard your heart and live with grace. I want to close with a blessing. This week, the message is about Jesus blessing the children. So in Psalm 67, we read this, "May God be gracious to us and bless us, and make his face shine on us, so that your ways may be known on earth, your salvation among the nations. May the peoples praise you, God. May all the peoples praise you. May the nations be glad and sing for joy, for you rule the people with equity and guide the nations of the earth. May the peoples praise you, God. May all the peoples praise you. The land yields its harvest. God our God blesses us. May God bless us still, so that all the ends of the earth will fear him." Thanks for joining, and may you know God's blessing.